reports will be recorded and placed in the transparency platform, CBIT Transparency Platform. So also with you will have opportunity to reach it and to have all presentations and recorded material. So at the beginning, just to say that within the CBIT-GSP project, we implemented an assessment of the capacity needs for the Eurasia Transparency Network, where countries raised issues of the capacities and institutional arrangements that are not sufficiently developed in order to support transparency reporting. And that's why we have decided to organize this webinar to give you some inputs about institutional arrangements, their importance and benefits, and to share some regional experiences, in this case, experiences from Moldova. But before we start with the presentation, I would like to ask you to turn on your cameras to see your smiley faces and to make a group photo of this webinar. So many.
How do we look, Slađa?
Oh, very nice. And smiley.
We look as usual. Even
just a second. To take another one, maybe better one. More smiles. Okay. Thank you very much. Sorry. So I will share now my screen and my slides with you. Can you see the presentation?
Yes, we see.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's start. Let's say at the beginning something about institutional arrangements, importance and the benefits. So as you all know, that for the climate reporting, countries need a regular and reliable flow of information about their GHG trends and projections, about the effects of their policies, measures, climate risks, their opportunities and actions to reduce GHG emissions, and the support needed and received for climate action. So such information actually supports evidence-based national decision-making and timely submission of quality national reports to the Convention and to the Paris Agreement. So in order to be able to compile and report this information on biennial basis, or maybe more frequently for national needs, countries need appropriate institutional arrangements. The new challenge in that sense is transition from the existing MRV arrangements to the ETF Enhanced Transparency Framework that actually introduces enhanced scope and depth of reporting for developing countries, and that stresses the importance even more of having strong and sustainable institutional arrangements in place. The enhanced scope and depth of the reporting in the line of the ETF actually poses significant challenges for the countries in terms of their resources and efforts needed in responding to the new reporting requirements. A continuous process of improvement, collection, processing, analysis, compilation, reporting, and review of data is likely to fully occupy a core team of the national experts throughout the 2 years of reporting cycles, as it's required for the BTR, for example. But additionally, the process requires engagement with the broad range of the stakeholders for collection of data, to use of outputs by decision makers, etc., etc. So what are the key components of the institutional arrangements? It is important to stress that there is no universal model for all institutional arrangements for all countries, and such systems should be designed to support sustainable national circumstances, and they are specific actually for every country. However, there are some common elements that are essential to supporting countries' reporting, and they have been identified on the basis of the country experiences and lessons learned from numerous countries. So, as you can see on this figure, institutional arrangements can be organized within 5 components. First are organizational mandates, then expertise or groups of national experts, then data flows, systems and tools that enable good functioning of the arrangements and reporting, and also require stakeholder engagement. So, organizational mandates should include terms of references that are defined and designed to ensure that necessary human, financial, and data resources are available to clarify decision-making process within the transparency reporting. Specifically, these organizational mandates facilitate collaboration between experts and expert organizations, and they are required, for example, to ensure regular supply of new data, for example, data as a data supply agreements. They need to ensure confidentiality, sorry, to guarantee access to data, and to engage private sector to provide data, or maybe consultancy. So mechanisms and tools that establish strong organizational mandates include, for example, national climate laws, organizational agreements or contracts, individual contracts, and DSAs or data supply agreements. So when it comes to the expertise, the team of the national experts should be capable of regularly gathering and processing data in order to produce agreed outputs in a timely manner. So the team should have suitable backup expertise and access to relevant training materials. In the context of the national experts, is the necessary to establish procedure that will enable effective recruitment, retention, and succession of the members of the national expert team. And that procedure needs to motivate long-term and active involvement of the experts in the reporting process. Also, for the early phases of development of the institutional arrangements, it may be helpful to engage external support to train and mentor team of national experts, but also the national experts may wish to bring in temporary additional support for new developments from time to time. So, as of the data flows, reliable, regular data flows are essential outputs for well-functioning institutional arrangements of the national transparency framework. Establishing the data flows, considering defining of the needs and uses of the data, managing delivery of the required data sets from the range of data providers on the regular basis, and also continuously improving data and reducing uncertainty. Data sets also include national statistics, government data, various measurement data, company and trade association reports, census and surveys that have already undertaken and reported. Also, the data include new data specifically developed to fill gaps in existing data, including new surveys, measurements, and other new statistical data collected on specific activities, for example, for forestry sector, agriculture, or on climate risks and vulnerabilities, but also on the costs, benefits, and co-benefits of adaptation and mitigation actions, and information on financial, technology, and capacity building support. In that, identifying and engaging with stakeholders who hold, produce, and could supply data is very important and crucial, actually, as well as data supply agreements that we are already mentioned, which are also important for securing reliable data flows. Coordination systems and tools are also important because they enable smooth functioning of the transparency system. This includes managing the collection, analysis, quality assurance, quality check, summarizing, archiving of data, etc., etc. In that sense, the institutional arrangements need to provide development and maintenance of the work plans, engagement tools, databases, data analysis, indicators, reports, etc. So effective coordination systems and tools ensure that a team of national experts are able to access the data and manage actually that data flow, to perform QA, QC procedures, to produce timely outputs of sufficient quality, and to enable engagement of wide range of the stakeholders that actually provide data. So something about stakeholders engagement. Collecting data and making use of the outputs requires engagement of the wide variety and number of the stakeholders, including public, local governments and communities, businesses, decision makers, etc., etc. The greater engagement, the better and more useful the transparency system will be, which is necessary for evidence-based decision making and the production of the reports. Stakeholders engagement considers seeking out key individuals and organizations, but also, which is very important, it needs to offer benefits in exchange for their involvement. For instance, for providing data, for providing insights, resources, etc. So stakeholders engaged in national policy making and business decision making will provide an important link to wider impacts of climate actions and integration of the climate action with national social, environmental, socioeconomic sustainability goals. Strong stakeholder engagement ensures that transparency system reaches a broad range of the stakeholders, including those from national government, local government, private sector, academia, NGOs, media, and the public, so that data can be gathered from the most reliable and relevant sources, and outputs can then inform their decision-making process. Engagement also should include stakeholders involved in implementation of actions, so implementation of actions related to adaptation, mitigation, etc., but as well stakeholders who provide data and advice on understanding provided data. Also, I would like to stress importance of the establishing of the legal frameworks that support institutional arrangements set up in each country. Institutional arrangements, of course, require, I would say that's one initial precondition, that they require legally binding frameworks and mandates to provide adequate resources. These frameworks formalize new roles, responsibilities, resources, and relationships needed to deliver transparency system outputs. That's specifically important since countries are now transferring from existing MRV system to enhanced transparency system for reporting. Some legal frameworks in your countries may already exist. For example, frameworks that make environment agencies responsible for national environmental data reporting commitments, or the statistical agencies and government departments that are responsible for collecting data. However, these frameworks must be updated and complemented in order to ensure sufficient data and resources are available to establish fully functional transparency system that can deliver its mandated outputs. Sorry. Such changes to the legal framework can include, for example, new laws and bylaws, expansion of the existing organizational mandates, for example, on environmental data gathering and reporting. Also, changes can include well-structured new services and framework contracts and memorandum of understandings between institutions and data suppliers, and also new data supply agreements. So it is all about sourcing or securing sourcing of reliable data processing and data management, improvement of the process over the time to prepare your transparency report in line with the enhanced transparency framework. So thank you very much for your attention. I will now stop sharing my screen. And that were key components of one good or proposed potential institutional arrangements for transparency reporting. In accordance to our agenda, now our colleague Lilia Taranu from Moldova will present experiences of the Moldova in the context of institutional arrangements for transparency reporting. So, Lilia, the floor is yours. I will share now your presentation. So just let me know when you want me to.
Thank you very much, Slajana, for very comprehensive and interesting presentation about institutional arrangement and framework of the transparency. And now I would like to present the institutional arrangement with, which I exist in the Republic of Moldova for climate reporting. I would like to ask you to share my presentation.
Yes,
because...
I'm trying to find it actually.
Yeah.
It will be just a second. I think it is. Yeah, that's it. Can you see it?
Okay, great. Yes, yes,
yeah.
We see.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
Just tell me when need to move to the next slide.
Yes, the next slide. The next slide is presenting the short outlines of my presentation. And the next slide. Here you can see the national context, the population of the Republic of Moldova, the GDP, average gross salary, contribution to global GNG emissions, and also vulnerability. My country is very vulnerable to climate change and extreme meteorological events. And here you can see the little Republic of Moldova, where it is located in the Europe. The next slide. Here you can see the national context. Republic of Moldova ratified the UNFCCC, the Kyoto Protocol, the Paris Agreement, and the Republic of Moldova's submission to the UNFCCC include 5 national communications, 3 biennial report. From the second national communication, all our reports were compliant with also with national inventory reports. Now we are implementing the BTR1, which was started in 2022 and submitted is planning to submit it by the end of this year to UNFCCC. And we are going next slide. Slajana, and here we can go quickly through all this slide where we can see the Republic of Moldova submission to the UNFCCC. And now I will speak about institutional arrangement for climate reporting. On behalf of the government of the Republic of Moldova, the Ministry of Environment is in charge with implementation of the UNFCCC. As a rule, the Ministry of Environment is the national focal point, and head of National Climate Change Policy Division is a technical focal point for UNFCCC. Before the 2019, the Climate Change Office was responsible for GNG inventory, national communication, and biennial update reporting to the UNFCCC, elaboration of this all this report. But from the 2018, the Public Institution Environment Project National Implementation Office was organized and also absorbed 7 legal entities, including the Climate Change Office. In 2018 was also elaborated the government decision 1277, which set up the national system for monitoring and reporting green gases emissions and other climate change relevant information, and also was established the Environment Agency, which became the competent authority responsible for implementing of this system. Next slide, please. National system for monitoring and reporting. This is a system which is set up to collect, process, and report all the data and information needed for elaboration the national GNG inventory, national communication, and the BTRs in accordance with relevant UNFCCC Paris Agreement and subsequent decision. As you mentioned about Republic of Moldova has very good elaborated legal framework, and this is government decision is very essential in this case. And as you say that all legal framework need to be amended periodically because we have changes. And this is government decision that was amended 3 times. The last time was amended with purposes of transposing of the regulation, EU regulation on the governments of the energy union and climate actions. And which include also procedures, review information and reporting requirements related to Energy Community Treaty, to which Moldova is a party since 2010. The activity data and the indicators needed to be collected on regular basis, as well as deadlines for presenting them to the competent authority, are set up in the tables 1.5 of the that's regulation. Next slide, please. And here you can see example for all 5 sectors of national inventory, and this is stipulate all these tables. This is only fragment, include all activity data which are needed for compiling the national GNG inventory. And here we have see the requirement parameter, all activity data, for example, coal, sub, lignite, oven, coke, etc. And the next column, this is a measuring unit is specified, tonnes, etc. The authority responsible for data provision. For example, here for this data which you see, this is National Bureau for Statistics. And here we have official data sources and mention what kind of official data sources. And next, this is last and needed. We don't see that's official data sources we are using for inventory for these categories and activity data, and deadline for data submissions. Annual report 30 September for previous year. Next slide, please. And here you have the same information for EPPO sectors. And here you can see not only national statistical data, also statistical report and respondents. We have 2 types of activity data needed, including direct interviewing. And also this is deadline for data submission. This is annually prior the 30 June of previous year. And you can see here National Bureau for Statistics, different respondents and custom services also include the data needed direct interviewing. Next slide, please. And here you can see for the data for agriculture. Also, this is we have some statistical reports, but we need more disaggregated information, which is presented in format. This is not on the sites, but we receive from the statistical offices. Special for development of the inventory for agriculture sector. Next slide. And here you can see LULUCF. I want to say that LULUCF, we receive the data later than other sectors because our land cadastre appear later. This is November 30 annually of previous year. We received the information. Next slide. And the last one, this is for waste sector. Also, you can see, but you need to understand that this is not all data. This is only the fragment. The table is much more because include all sectors, needed parameter, all data providers, all deadlines, all the data we need for inventory we have in this government decision, and all parameters are legally included in this government decision. And next slide, please. Here you can see National System for Monitoring and Reporting included 2 subsystems. The first one, this is National Inventory System, which provides institutional, legal and procedural framework for estimation of anthropogenic gaining emission by sources and removals by sinks of all green gases compiled in the national inventory, as well for reporting and archiving of inventory information in accordance with the decision made under UNFCCC and Paris Agreement. And the the second one system, this is National System for Policies, Measure and Prognosis, which provides the institutional, legal and procedural framework for assessing progress in implementing climate change mitigation policies for developing projections of anthropogenic GHG emissions by sources and the removals by sinks. Next slide, please. And here you can see the institutional arrangement on the climate reporting as a scheme. You can see here the Environment Agency competent authority for national system. You can see the Ministry of Environment, the national focal point and central authority. You can see the public institution who on the Public Institution and Environment Project National Implementation Office who implement on project basis, elaborate the national communication, the BTR now, and you have also, you can see here the supervisor committee, which chairman is the Ministry of the Environment and also 4 members. You can see all stakeholders, a long list of stakeholders, national partners and main provider of the information, which all of them are stipulated and also on government decision you see as data providers, and also you can see here 3 working groups on national green gas inventory, on climate change mitigation, monitoring, reporting and verification, and also the 3rd working group on climate modeling, vulnerability assessment. Next slide, please. And now I would like to say about that, as I mentioned, the Environment Agency is the competent authority which in direct collaboration with responsible authorities and institutions that are part of national system on monitoring and the reporting, and the support of central authority, which is Ministry of Environment, ensure of organization and operation of national system, national inventory system. Within this system, the competent authority draw up a national green gas inventory every 2 years. The national inventory data are displayed according to format. All the formats are also presented in this government decision 1277. Based on the national green gas inventory, the competent authority is responsible also for drawing up every 2 years the national inventory report, and future will be national inventory document in 2 languages, state and English languages. Also, the structure is according to relevant decision of the Conference of the Parties to the UNFCCC. Also, the competent authority is publishes the national inventory report as well as national inventory greenhouse emissions in tabular format on its official site. And also the data are going, and summary tables show the trends in greenhouse emissions by gas and by sector. Also go to the national statistical, they are included in statistical data on climate change, which are published on our statistical data site. They're elaborated by the Environment Agency. Also, national inventory data should be submitted to the Energy Community Secretariat and the European Environment Agency. Next slide, please. The central authority, Ministry of Environment, transmits to the UNFCCC Secretariat based on the data provided by the competent authority by the December 31 year, and which report was made, the national inventory completely for the period, the base year, and year X-2. And also starting from 2025, the central authority annually present to the secretary, need to annually to present to the secretary of the energy community by March 15 the national inventories of the final GHG inventory for national inventory for the year X-1. The next slide. And here you can see also when you was speaking about the good elaborated about data flow, about all responsibilities, the Moldova also published as a rule report of the as technical annex to the last two national communication and for 3 biennial reports. The report on national greenhouses inventory system, here you can see the last one from 2021, a report of national greenhouse inventory system in the Republic of Moldova. We can see here, this is HEPA template and very useful for national greenhouse inventory system, because all the procedures we will describe it, including the key category analysis, national inventory improvement plan, description of the quality assurance, quality control procedures, methods, data used, the institutional arrangement, including all the consultants, all the responsible for all the part of the national inventory. You can see a lot of information in this report on national greenhouse inventory system. Next slide, we can see the short description about how greenhouses inventory institutional arrangement are going. I say about it in previous presentation. We have data collection, we have our public institution implementation unit, which are doing the through the expert from different institutions, emissions calculation, inventory compliance, quality control. Also, we have quality assurance from the external experts, and after that, the inventory is ready or report is ready. It's going to the Environment Agency, and agency doing inventory approval. After that, they go into Ministry of Environment, Inventory, and Ministry of Environment. The central authority is doing submission to UNFCCC. Next slide, please. And here again, you can see the relevant providers of the inventory data by source and sink categories. This is only fragment, not all, because we have, I would like to say that our government decision related to national system on monitoring and the reporting is about 130 pages. It's a huge document with specific rules, all particulars related to climate reporting in the Republic of Moldova. And next slide, please. And here I present in short the national system for policies, measure and forecast. This is only the short description. Also, we have here, the competent authority also communicate the data, all the specified also by December 15, and every 2 years, description need to communicate the follow description the national reporting system regarding to policies, measure the progress report made in achieving long-term development strategy, information on the progress made in achieving the objective of the NDC and its update according to CTF table formats, information on the policies, measure groups, national forecasts, and this information is, as you know, the component part of the BTR national communication, and shall be submitted by the central authority to the UNFCCC, but 31 December of the reporting year. The information is also presented to the Secretariat by March 30 or once every 2 years, starting from 2025. Next slide, please. And here you can see the, okay. You can see the national system for adaptation, the same data for reporting, and here we can need to present information on climate models, projections, scenarios, considered to be relevant for assessment on climate change vulnerability, key economic, social, and environment risk associated with current and future climate change, actual observed impact and future impact of climate change, institutional framework for adaptation, strategy and action plan approaches using monitoring and evaluating progress. This is all, of course, this is short. Also, this information shall be presented to energy community once starting from 2025 and every 4 years ahead. To Secretariat for Energy Community, as I say. Next slide, please. And here, the last one, this is the information on the support provided by developing country referred to in Annex 1 to the UNFCCC. And here you can see that if competent authorities shall provide the central authority the information based on Rio benchmark on financial flow provided by developing country for support climate change mitigation and adaptation. Also, the information on the financial and technological support provided by the developing countries is part chapter. This is information and also part chapter of BTR and national communication. And here also the same reporting requirements. Next slide, please. And now I will say about a little about lesson learned and best practices. While establishing the national system for monitoring and reporting, it was used the ongoing experience of the national expert while which are reviewing the Jinjin Ventures national communication biennial report of Annex 1 parties by considering the best practices in place. We are trying to use all the best experience in our country. It was used also the USA YEPA templates for documenting the national Jinji inventory management system. As a result, the national inventory system report were produced, as I say, as technical annexes for 3 boards and most 2 national communication. It was relieved, and also Slajana, you mentioned in your presentation that it's very you need to have experienced experts for each IPC sectors. And for that, it's important to invest in organization of the training at national level with participation of international trainings and participation of national experts to dedicated international trainings. In order to create a better understanding of data quality needs, introduce the climate reporting to key sectoral institutions, relevant public authorities, and data providers. Awareness raising is the must. Also, regular consultation are important to be organized with key sectoral institutions, relevant public authorities, and data providers. The involvement of stakeholders into planning process is very essential from the early beginning. Also, the data management, investing in establishing and maintaining reliable database is the must. National statistical data use are used in the climate reporting to keep time series consistently. Is possible, if possible, check also the data from the National Industrial Association. As a rule, we are using 2 data flows to check to see how it's which data is better. Ensure that competent authority for implementing of national system makes use of reporting system established for the sea chlorofluorocarbons, important consumption data under the Montreal protocols. Quantities obtained from the annual reports that importers, operators, and service companies are required to report each year since 2012 to the Ministry of the Environment. Developing and using for inventory properties of land use matrix is necessary for high quality of the velocity of inventory. It is a very difficult, costly, and time-consuming task, but it merits all the effort. Ensure responsibility for the quality data of inventory both at the expert level as well as level of competent authority responsible for implementing the national system. As much as possible and need to try investing and identifying the country-specific emission factors. And also implement the needed research and studies. Next slide, please. It was
Please
used
speed up, please. You have just a few minutes because we are approaching to the end of our event. So please.
Okay. We are going to the lesson learned. Next slide, please. Lesson learned and best practices. We are going to next slide, please. We are going to key challenges in climate reporting in the Republic of Moldova. The key challenges, this is reliance on international financial support. The functionality of national system is partly project-based. There are no dedicated national budget except for the data collection. Vulnerability of national system due to the continuous institutional reforms and change of the responsible authorities for its implementation, low staff numbers at the line ministries and the competent authority environment agency responsible for implementing of national system, lack of understanding for the inventory work from the involved key institution and data providers, different level of disaggregation in the national statistical system, unavailable the databases and compare it with the need of the inventory team, limited access to facility level data due to confidential issue, insufficient financial resources for undertaking studies on establishing country-specific emission factor, and also lacks of qualified inventory experts and continuous need to train new one. Next slide, please. And the next steps, Republic of Moldova intend to submit its BTR by the end of the December, and it will be accompanied by the technical annex of national inventory document for 1990 2022 green gas sources and sinks in the Republic of Moldova. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Lilia. It was very interesting to hear this comprehensive presentation and information you provided, which is very practical, very experience-based. And we have a chance to hear about the roles of different institutions like Line Ministry and Ministry for Environment, then about the agency like environmental agencies, then about different data suppliers, but also tables and forms for data provisions, timeframes for the data provisions, information of the legal framework that supports functioning of the institutional arrangements in order to provide the reliable and on-time reports. So I would say that your institutional arrangements are well functioning since, as you mentioned, you plan to submit your first BTR by the end of the December of this year. So as I know, you are already doing or finalizing your inventory and other reports necessary to comply and to finalize your BTR. Thank you very much. So now I would ask participants if they have some questions for Lilia to ask now. So Hakan raised his hand. Hakan, please, floor is yours.
Thank you, Slađana. I just wondered that you mentioned your presentation, policies and measures will be submitted as a component of BTR. And won't you submit your adaptation needs under the BTR? This is my question. And the second one is, what kind of calculation method do you use your national inventory report, like tier 1 or tier 2? And by the way, if I missed, I'm sorry. Do you have a JEF-funded project to prepare Biennial Transparency Report? Because I just wondered. And so once again, if I missed, I'm sorry again.
Thank you very much for your questions. If I miss something, answers on your question, you can repeat because I don't know if I remember all. From the beginning, I want to say that, of course, we are using the, I mentioned that our national communication BTR report are project-based, and we're using GF funds for elaboration of the BTR now. And for previous national communication BNL update report, we're also using the GF funds from the enabling activities. And also about your questions related to adaptation components, of course, the BTR include also this, because I have the short time, I can't present outlines. We include, we have part now national BTRs also have the part related to the adaptation components. We don't do a long-standing adaptation report now because we have a lot of new requirements related to transparency. In this case, we can't do additional adaptation report, but next time maybe when we will do this one. But we have chapter related to adaptation and vulnerability assessment in our BTR. Also related to policy and measure. What was your questions? Could you repeat?
My question is related to the calculation method
of
the national inventory report.
Okay. In the Republic of Moldova, as a rule, we're using for key categories for most cases for all sectors. We use for key categories, we are using the tier 2. For which we don't have possibility, we're using tier 1. Because exist some sectors, some categories we can't use tier 2, but mostly for the key categories we are using tier 2. And we have for many sectors we have national emission factor also elaborated.
And
for
third
example,
question
for
was
agriculture. Yeah. And I missed something.
Yeah, third question was about whether you received funding for development of your reports and from which where.
Oh, I say we are using the GF UNEP fund. We are for elaboration of our BTRs. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Hakan, more questions?
No, thank you.
No, at this point. Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else? Just to remind you, you can put your questions in the chat box also. Also these all presentations and recordings will be published at our climate transparency platform. So they will be available right after this webinar. So maybe also to ask Lilia about legal frameworks. It seems that you have already done everything. So is there anything missing? Do you have, for instance, law on climate change that regulates your reporting requirements or just regulation that you mentioned during your presentation?
Of course, we have much more. For example, now our government was adopted the climate law. And these days they have the first discussion in the parliament because they are very interesting thing, but I can't add also in my, because this is something new. Maybe when we come in the Georgia, I will say more. Maybe will be adopted in parliament. In this case, we can speak about, because this is very complex law, but all legal framework related to monitoring and reporting are specified in this government decision. Also, we have one law related two coordination, climate change coordination mechanism, but this is not so well by the moment developed because a lot of reorganization. For example, we will have the climate commissions, which will be, according to the new law, will be very high level because this will be under Prime Ministry. Before it was the chair was the Ministry of Environment, but now will be Minister of Environment will be the secretary. In this case, we have some change in coordination of climate change things in Republic of Moldova, but I can speak about it when we maybe in Georgia when we have the next hour workshops related to inventory, and I will speak more.
Okay, thank you very much for your answers. Also, I just would like to mention, since we are at the very end of this event, this webinar, that it seems to me that countries like Moldova, Georgia, and Montenegro, and some others are actually very close or to fulfill this deadline for submission of their first BTR. But also in relation to that, I can conclude that these countries are established well-functioning institutional arrangements that supports functional reporting. So that is resulted in timely preparing of their reports and most probably submission by the end of December. So thank you, Lilia, very much for all these informations. If there is no more questions, also you can put questions in the chat box and we can reply on your questions after the meeting, but also you can use the forum that we have created on establishing of the institutional arrangements. The forum is placed on our climate transparency platform of the CBIT-GSP project, so you can be free to ask any questions or exchange experiences with the other countries on this issue. And for the end, I just will share with you a few questions to respond through our Benti. Just a second. Okay, I'll share now my screen. Can you see? Also, I'll share the link in the chat box. So you can answer. Can you see this is instructions? You can enter your code in the Menti, www.menti.com. So enter the code or use just QR code. So we will start with the questions. From which country are you joining us today? That's the first question. Waiting for some responses. Okay, Lilia, thank you. Okay, here we have your answers. Thank you very much. as I saw from your accepted meeting, that most of the countries from Eurasia will participate to this event. So thank you. Thank you very much. Let's go to the next slide. Next question. What is your role within the transparency system? So are you coordinating within the institutions or you are a member of the expert team for data analysis and compilation, or you are data supplier? So 2 coordinators, 2 members of the expert team, 1 data supplier. Okay. More answers?
I think there is another column that there should be another column to
Okay.
cover all of these works. Because in Turkey, I also coordinate, and also I am a member of expert team for data analysis, and also I'm a data supplier.
Yes,
So
I
you
agree.
mixed role.
I agree,
Yeah.
because because the next time we need to do for combining, as Kaha say, because I am coordinator, and also I'm doing inventory, for example, for agriculture. In this case, we need to do, because exist some countries where they combine several roles. In this case, it's better to have
Yes.
additional columns for this.
Yes. Okay, I will add. And also I understand that specifically in the context of the capacities of the institutions and complexity of the systems, that many people from institutions are in the same time data suppliers and members of the teams and coordinating some processes, etc., etc. So thank you for this. Next question. Is about which topics would be particularly interesting for you for the future webinars. So as you know, we have our annual work plan within the Eurasia network, but and also we are planning our GAG workshop in Georgia, but also webinar on the NDC data collection and reporting, adaptation reporting, etc., etc. So maybe something. Okay, NDC tracking and calculation on climate finance needs. Okay, yes, that's also planned within our work plan. Gender perspective, yes, we also plan to make some organize some webinars with gender aspects. Quality assurance, quality check procedures, okay. That is of the highest importance for the quality of the reporting, and as I see, it is important for you to know more about that. Use of the ETF reporter tool, technology transfer, emission factors and input data. Okay. Thank you very much. And the last question is, how are you satisfied with today's webinar? So 4, very satisfied, thank you. 5. Okay, thank you very much for your answers. If there is no more answers on this, I will conclude this presentation. Thank you very much for the participation. And you are all very welcome to participate at our next learning events, workshops, webinars. and also really feel free to contact us anytime for any question that you might have in the context of the transparency reporting. I know that you are under huge pressure and you are trying to establish systems and set up all what is necessary to work on your BTRs to complete your obligation by the deadline. So we are here to help and support you in that process. Any other comments from your side? Also, in the context of the data sharing and information and knowledge that you might need on your road while preparing your BTRs, I suggest you really to use our transparency knowledge section, where you can find different knowledge products, guidelines, etc., that can help you in order to facilitate your processes. So at this point, I will stop. Thank you very much. If there is no more questions, I will stop and wishing you a nice and pleasant day. Thank you very much. See you next time.